Nice to be back again for another stream. It'll probably be a relatively short one, maybe about an hour to maybe an hour and a half. But I definitely welcome you all. I'm gonna start off talking a little softly. Welcome in, Clever. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be doing continuing our reading of Philip II of Macedon, or Macedonia, Macedon, depending on however you want to pronounce it. And I spent a little bit of time just before stream, just taking a couple of images, just to kind of improve our reading. Let me try and find it real quick. So we're gonna have. I should have named these images. But this is a different. Oh god, it's so large. Okay. So the book I have has quite a few illustrations and images. And this is one. This is just showing, as it says in the corner, Philip's Greece. And this is just sort of the current situation. I'm not too sure when exactly this year is meant to be, but it simply just shows kind of the situation of Greece. You have obviously the Greek states to the south, Thessaly, a particularly strong horse culture. You get down into Aetolia and then Attica, where Athens is. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm going to have to figure out a way where you guys can see like a mouse or something on this. And then, of course, Lacedaemonia, this kind of almost an island at the bottom where Sparta controls most of these lands. Although at this time, Sparta are significantly reduced. But a great way to think about Philip's achievements is that upon his kind of ascension to the throne, he essentially just controls southern Macedonia. Essentially, it's just Pella and kind of the surrounding regions. Now, eventually, and at the time, he's beset by Amphipolis and Olynthos. Those are like kind of other city-states that are kind of exerting power to his west. On the east, you have Epirus and Illyria, particularly Illyria. I think Epirus is supportive of Philip essentially by marriage. And then you have the kind of north of Macedonia, which is various other cantons and how would you describe them? Kind of governors of Macedonian tribes that haven't come under the claim of the king. And then, of course, up very north, you have the Tribalians, who I believe is Alexander. I believe it's Alexander who fights them later, and then the Getae, who become quite an issue for quite a few people. The one I had a dream about that three-finger religion, the one Mount Athos is on. I'm not too familiar with that. I apologize. It sounds familiar, but yeah, I wouldn't know of it. Excuse me, I've had a little bit of a busy day from work to singing. My main thing today was singing, and I had a lot of fun. I was working on some Jim Crochet music. Tomorrow's going to be a better day, and really enjoyed it. And apparently, according to my teacher, I was really good on the rhythm and being in key when singing. So that's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that I'm kind of improving, you know. It's south of Thrace. But it's not on this map. Southwest, okay. I see. Oh, so it's probably not visible on this map. That's okay though. I can look into it later. But yeah, I think we're quite close to the end of this chapter. I think I might get straight in that geographical region. I'll have to look into the three-finger religion. It kind of sounds somewhat familiar, but I can't say I distinctly remember it. Oh god, I almost dropped the book and that would not be. It's literally on the map. What? You said Mount Athos, southwest of Thrace. So, there's Lesbos, there's Pendos, the Hellespont, Samothrace. Southwest is this direction. It's right on the tip of the peninsula. Oh, sorry, that's southeast. That's southeast. Wait, no, sorry, never. Oh, sorry, wait, never mind. My directions were incorrect. I forget. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. East is this direction. West is this direction. And north is obviously this. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired. But yeah, I see where you mean. Ah, so I'm guessing the three fingers of the one that looks like a claw going into you again. Ah, that if I hadn't missed that comment, I probably would have understood you. Oh, the three finger. I'm sorry. This'll tell you how tired I am. I read three finger region as three finger religion, and I thought you were talking about like some ancient religion that involved like maybe blessings and three fingers or something, or that like it had a certain significance. And I was imagining it was like your index, your middle, and your ring finger. Did it have to do with the ancient religion? Ah, okay. It is a pretty cool area. I like, Greece is a very interesting looking kind of region. All the different islands and stuff. No wonder Athens were able to project so much influence once they had a very strong navy. Where's my... Excuse me a moment, I'm going to get my bottle of water. Three Finger Religion could be a great album name. Welcome in, Fabricant. Thank you for joining. A secret pagan society in the shadow of Mount Athos. I could see that. That would probably be a good place to be sneaky and have a secret pagan religion. But I hope you're all doing well. I think I'm going to get straight into the reading because I want to at least finish off this chapter, and then one that was pretty shady. I met up with them in a darkish building. That's cool though. That sounds like a fun dream. Dreams where like they're completely wild and like I tend to have dreams of. Often I'll have dreams of like, if I'm playing a game a lot, I'll have dreams where whatever that game is about, I'll experience it, and it will also almost be like the interactions are based on the interface of the game. So I've had dreams where I'm like a ruler of a place and I'm interacting with the world through like CK3 or 2, or else it's like Mountain Blade. It's really weird. It was a yo-yo guy and not safe for stream. Ooh, spooky. Or erotic. I don't want to know what that guy did with the yo-yo. But anyway. I let a girl my number so she could get away from there. Then you woke up. Well, we all dream about things we want but can't have, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Clever. I'm just teasing. Sounds like a fun dream though. Maybe you'll get like a continuation of that dream. Those are some of my favorite series of dreams where you have the same dream but like it's like a little further on. It's like a continuation, like a sequel. It's really weird because you will sometimes realize that, oh yeah, wait, I experienced this earlier in the dream. But anyway, let's. It was more of a fatherly concern. Ah, I see. Let's get on with this last kind of section of this book. This book is quite long. It's okay. Thankfully, the notes take up about 30 pages, but it's about 250 pages, and we're only on page 23 after a reading stream. So I definitely want to get through this. A hostage in Thebes. There is no doubt that the martial environment of his youth strongly influenced Philip throughout his life. To the end he remained a tough and courageous soldier and general who preferred the company of his men, had a soft spot for his troops, and was highly respected because of his personal courage and military valour. He was of a mostly jovial disposition, but in an instant could turn serious. His pragmatism surely resulted from his experience with the murderous court politics he witnessed in his youth. Yet none of his martial experiences and habits completely explain his great success as both a general and a statesman. The secret of Philip's greatness resides in his brilliant intellect and the military education he received while hostage in Thebes. Philip was sent to Thebes 368 BC at the age of 15 as part of a guarantee for a Theban settlement imposed on the warring factions of a dynastic dispute in Macedonia. We may correctly suppose that he arrived at the Theban court with an already developed sense of how harsh and dangerous the world could be. By now he had accepted as axiomatic that all politics, diplomacy too, was based on self-interest and that any man could be made to do what one wanted for a price. At even this young age, Philip was already a believer in real politics. No experience in his life had ever caused him to question this belief. They were about my deceased baby sister. Oh, that's it's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that, Clever. In a weird way, it's almost a very interesting dream, isn't it? That's probably something that is on your mind, but I hope it was an oddly comforting dream. I wonder if this book goes into the philosophers Philip brought in. I imagine it probably will. It probably will. Because I imagine it will set aside parts where it will talk about his statecraft. Thebans likely regarded Philip as little more than a country bumpkin, another Macedonian in need of civilization, or civilizing. Diodorus records, however, that he took eagerly to his tutoring and quickly became enamoured of the culture and civilization of the Hellenes, its art and ceremonies. His tutor was Lysis of Tarentum, a Pythagorean. It would likely be difficult to imagine a less willing convert to a creed requiring pacifism, vegetarianism, and total abstinence than young Philip. Perhaps it was in Thebes that Philip conceived of the idea of developing Macedonia along the lines of Hellenistic culture. The education he received there had a profound influence on him. Philip lived with Pamenes, a skilled general and a close friend of the great Epaminondas, who was the victor at Leuctra, which was a battle between, I believe it was Athens and Thebes versus Sparta, and it was kind of one of the last great battles of the history of, or the Peloponnesian War. I think it was the kind of well, not the last Peloponnesian War, but kind of that region, a little bit afterwards, after Sparta had won and kind of a different section had kind of happened. They probably have different names for it. Where were we? Oh yeah. And Epaminondas was regarded as the best tactician in all of Greece. Philip also made the acquaintance of the Sacred Brand and an excellent cavalry general. Also made the acquaintance of Peliopidas, the commander of the famous elite heavy infantry unit known as the Sacred Band and an excellent cavalry general. Philip was an eager student of war and applied himself diligently to his host's lessons. He had the opportunity to observe the Sacred Band's drills and observe the importance of disciplined infantry, unit cohesion, and a spear decor. The Sacred Band later became the model for his own elite corps of infantry. From watching the Theban cavalry in its practice drills, Philip came to appreciate the need for cavalry to fight as units instead in small tribal bands, or as individuals, as was the common Macedonian method. There was, he learned, no substitute for a professional officer corps trained in common drill tactical drills. Only professional skilled officers could coordinate the cavalry and infantry maneuvers characteristic of Theban tactics. This coordination later became the hallmark of Philip's tactics. Philip learned too that meticulous staff planning, supported by accurate intelligence, lay behind tactical success. I knew them. I had them before I really knew my unexpected twins at some point. I'm pretty sure my little sister was one. I felt like I knew before I was told, though. Oh, wow. I have, I have often said, actually, with the... And yes, the foot companions, and of course the companion cavalry. And then, of course, there was the silver shields as well. But you can definitely see the beginnings of this with the Theban Sacred Band. And the Thebes being... The Thebans are they close to... No, they're not that close to Thessaly, but they definitely would have been quite capable of that as well. But I've often said that if I'm doing ASMR, I like to just point out to people that if you're listening to me while going to sleep, please keep your phone off the bed and put it onto something. This was before Todd Howard put companions in the Skyrim, yes. Yes, the companions of Philip's day were not werewolves. Greek education placed a great emphasis on reading, and in Thebes, Philip would have access to Parmenides' library of the classic military treatises of the world. The Persian Wars and the Peloponnesian Wars had led to the publication of a number of works on military training and tactics that would have been available to Philip. Of these works, only a few have survived to the present day, but it is likely that Philip read Thucydides' History of the Peloponnesian War, Herodotus's The Histories, and accounts of the Persian Wars, and possibly some of the works by Xenophon, including on horsemanship, the cavalry commander, and the Anabasis. It would be difficult to imagine where Philip might have obtained a better military education than when he was a hostage at Thebes. Epaminondas was still in active service when Philip was in Thebes. The tactics Epaminondas employed against the Spartans at the Battle of Leuctra, which I believe was he sort of swapped out. He kind of went against the grain. I believe typically the heavy infantry, your best infantry, was kept on the right wing of your line. He did the opposite, and what he did was he deployed essentially what would you call it? What's it called when you have a slanted line? I guess I'll just call it a slanted line, but like a delayed line. So his heavy infantry met the Spartan line's lighter infantry, the least good fighters. And typically what would happen is, I believe one side of the heavy infantry would win, and they'd push the other back, and then the heavy infantry would wrap around and cause a massive, rout from the opposing sides. So really it all kind of hinged on that, but he went the opposite way, and by doing this, and by holding back his lighter infantry at the start, kind of using environment and stuff to slow the point of contact, he was able to allow his heavy infantry to crush the left wing and wrap around quickly. It was a very, very good tactic. There was an Olympic boxer who was said to be a werewolf, DeMarcus. I have never heard of that, actually. That's a new one to me. Marked the beginning of the end of the Greek traditional methods of war. Warfare in Greece had evolved from the warrior heroes of the Mycenaean age, engaging in individual combat, to the citizen armies of the city-states using the infantry phalanx. Western military history begins with the Greeks, and their engagement at Leuctra marks a turning point in the development of Greek tactics. Arriving in Thebes 3 years after Epaminondas' great victory, Philip studied it in detail and had access to many officers and commanders who had fought in this engagement. Many of the structural and tactical innovations Philip introduced, and Alexander later imitated, can be traced to Philip's study of this great battle. The victory of Thebes over the Spartans was sparked 7 years before the battle when Epaminondas created the Sacred Band. 300 men strong, the Sacred Band was noted for its iron discipline, cohesion, tactical mobility, and bravery. The unit had originally been designed to anchor the Theban right wing in traditional fashion, but Epaminondas restructured it into an elite unit to be used at a commander's discretion. The tactical problem for Epaminondas at Leuctra was to find a way to offset the Spartans' numerical advantage. He extended his line to the left, thinning out the right and the centre, and concentrated his forces in a single division on his extreme left. The Theban right and centre were left with fewer than 1,500 men, with a depth of no more than 5 ranks. The division on the left contained 3,000 men arranged in a shortened front but 50 men deep. The Theban light infantry and some cavalry were positioned on the right, with the bulk of the cavalry in front of the reinforced left phalanx. Farther out to the left, beyond the phalanx, but close enough to move it to its front, was a sacred band. Seen from the Spartan line, the Theban army had its greatest strength directly across from the Spartan right. The rest of the line was echeloned back and... Oh, sorry, I do apologize. I kind of made a bit of a... It wouldn't be... I actually messed up a little bit, because both sides would have their heavy infantry on... their best infantry on the right. But that would mean the right would be facing the enemy's left, you know? And both ways. So both sides would be fighting the weaker sides, essentially, and whichever's best fighters were able to break through first. Good morning, Quai. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? I hope it's not too cold. It's been very, very cold today, as you guys can see. It's kind of snowing. It was freezing. I had to walk in the cold for about 40, 50 minutes. It is cold. Oh no, oh no. I hope... Do you have to go into the office again today? I hope not. I hope you can just wrap up in a blanket and be... You just took a bath. Ooh, I haven't... It's been a long time since I've taken a bath, you know? I usually take showers, but I had a nice long hot shower today. Not too long, probably about 8 minutes, but it was just nice to be warm. But I just don't... Baths aren't really a thing I take much. Huh? Why, huh? I like warm stuff, because I'll just turn it on and just sit under it and be nice and warm. Hot, really, to be honest. Not warm. But the worst part then is, you know, you have to leave the window open so that all the condensation goes out. So like the moment you step out of the shower, you immediately get cold. You immediately get frozen. So you're reaching for your towel to wrap around yourself. Not taking a bath is not a thing here. It's not that like we have a bath. I have like a shower bath. So it's not like the shower is a cube you step into and you close the windows or pull across the curtain. Well, we do have a curtain, but the shower is connected to a bath. It's just I just don't take baths. And I don't really know in my family if we do that much either. I can't be certain though. I don't know my I don't like keep up with my family's like extended families washing routines. But I love cold thing. It closes my skin pores. Yeah, that's I know other people take baths. But yeah, whenever I'm like having a shave, I'll often I tend to find like, you know, warm water at the start to open up the pores, and it makes it easier, I've found, to shave. And then once I'm done, cold water. I like shave with the cold water. I'll use like the cold water on my razor, and then I'll splash cold water, and then of course I'll get like balm and stuff, and it might sting a little bit because I might have a cut or two, but it's okay. But no, I couldn't do like cold showers. I've tried for a while. I did it for about 2 months, but then I was just like, no, I don't like this at all. Now you need burrito. Yeah. Someone needs to just put you into a big blanket and roll you up, and like I guess like if you're rolled up like that, you won't really have use of your arms, so someone can just like feed you soup. I like soup. I think I'm gonna be having I think I'm gonna have soup tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have some soup tomorrow, and I'll have like some really like thick tasty bread with it, bread and butter. Oh, like soup is good. Soup is good, but like with butter, it's even bread and butter. You just resigned. Oh, really? I remember you were saying. I remember seeing a tweet from you that things were a little bit difficult in the office at the moment. You want soup right now too? Oh. That like, I'm not too. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't fun. Let's say the least. Well, I hope you have a little bit of stuff saved up so you can be okay for a little bit, and hopefully you manage to find something solid. Ooh, what is my favorite soup? I can tell you this. My favorite soup is a soup we have at Christmas time as our starter for our Christmas dinner. It is. Work is becoming not creative at all. What without endangering revealing too much about you. Is it are the projects just not interesting? They're just like very standard, boring. But my favorite soup is carrot and orange soup. That might sound weird, but oh, is it like if I had to explain it, it's basically the taste of Christmas. Like that soup tastes like Christmas to me because we always have it. We only have it at Christmas. That's when we have it. So good, so good. Oh, now I want it. I don't know. I don't. CEO is always changing his mind, and yeah, I get exactly what you mean. Decision in slow. I love Christmas. I need to taste that. Well, maybe I will learn how to make it sometime. Excuse me. Let me drink a water. My grandmother makes it, so I will. What's it called again? It's just carrot and an orange soup. I want to Google it. It's just carrot and orange, but it has like this really nice. Oh, it's hard to even explain. It's really good. But I'll have to talk to my, and then there's some stuff like some. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Distracted Atomic. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for the hydrate redeem. I actually just took a sip of water, but thank you very much. I did need that. I've been reading for a little bit and talking. Orange, it's so good. Stretch, thank you as well. I actually welcome in as well, Crane VT. Thank you very much for joining. I assume by that name you might be some kind of VTuber yourself. Unless you just like having the letters VT next to your name. Maybe you're like a very trustworthy individual, I don't know. But welcome in and thank you for the first time chat. The little hello, little salute. Wait, no, don't salute like that, guys. It's not good. Never mind. Disregard that. It's just a hello. It's just a wave. Just a wave. He's just waving hi. Ignore what I just said. I was thinking about changing it to CH, but I like VT for now. I think, I don't know. I do wonder. My name is a little like awkward because you don't even know like what the fuck. What is a Rua? What? Well, typically it's more like what's a Ruadh of Kailta. But thank you for joining. I like channel as well for VTubers, but then seeing VT, I instantly know that it's a VTuber, even though I also know that it's. I mean, I rarely see other streamers other than VTubers using CH. So both work well. Crane VT, Crane channel. I feel like Crane VT works better, in my opinion. Someone called me Saru, and that I didn't realize that was my Japanese name. Ah, is Saru like crane in Japanese? I assume it is. Uh, but yeah, quite. If I learn how to make it, maybe I can do like a maybe I'll do like a cooking stream someday. Even though I'm not a very good cook. Um, you know, I'll have to get lessons on how to cook by my amazing grandmother, and also baking. My grandmother also makes this Maltesers cheesecake uh, at Christmas time, and also a whole load of other stuff that's like so good. It's insane. It's insane. She does a lot of work, but it's pretty cool. But welcome in, Distracted Atomic and Crane VT. We're just taking I guess, a short little break here between reading. I hope you guys will enjoy learning a little bit about Philip II of Macedon once I get back to it. No worries, I love soups. They're so good. As I said though, they become 10 times better when you have some kind of bread or roll and butter with it, and really good butter, not like fake butter. I want real butter. None of that spreadable stuff. It better be like I will say the one annoying thing about really high quality butter is that when you try and butter it on a cold day, you're likely just gonna tear apart your bread. That's the worst feeling. I remember whenever I get like a roll in a shop. I don't know if you guys have we call them delis here, and a deli might make you think of like a butcher's, but as a deli, what we have is like it's typically two kind of glass covered things, like spaces, and then counters, and then in the counters you'll have like people behind them, and you'll have hot food and then you'll have cold food. So you'll have all sorts of salad and ham and chicken and cold chicken and beef rashers, cheese, loads of sauces and different other stuff. And then you'll have the hot food, typically hot chicken rolls or hot chickens, like crispy chicken. And then you'll have like hot sausage rolls and fries and stuff. And you can just buy these from shops, typically just like any good shop or like garage, which is like a gas station. We call them garages. Will have a full deli, and it's usually really good. The country ones tend to be the best because they'll have like the freshest food. They'll have, and typically the best ones you'll get is like it won't be pre-cut sliced ham. It will be a block of ham, and they will pick it up and cut it in front of you. Just little things like that. You can often tell like really solid. I guess it's sort of like the Japanese like quickie marts. Wait, why did I say quickie mart? Isn't that a Simpsons thing? I think it's like E-mart or something. But like the Japanese stores where they have loads. I think even the Japanese ones might be like even kind of superior in terms of offers of food. But we definitely do it well here as well in Ireland. But I think I'm gonna get back into the book now. Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, I remember why I thought of that. It's because usually when you go to order, if you order like a roll, which is typically most people will get a hot chicken roll for lunch or something like that, they'll go butter or mayo, and I always think to myself, why would I have a roll or a sandwich without butter? Like I know in some places that's not like the most common condiment. Or, well, to me, it's just like a necessary part of any sort of bread or roll. So it's like, I have to go like both if I want it. Although typically I'll try and get like a spicier mayo if I'm getting like a hot chicken roll or something. Anyway, enough about food. I'll just make myself hungry. Where were we? Oh yes. Farther out to the left, beyond the phalanx, but close enough to move to its front, was a sacred band. Seen from the Spartan line, the Theban army had its greatest strength directly across from the Spartan right. The rest of the line was echeloned back on an oblique angle, or refused in tactical terms, with its extreme left anchored on the terrain. I've yet to try French onion soup, which is soup inside a bun, Oh my god. The only thing I'd be worried about there is like the bottom of it would be so soggy. You just have a really soggy bread at the bottom. But maybe they have a way to combat that. I'm gonna take a look at the notes because I feel like at this point, we would likely get some interesting notes if there is any. There's a note here about Alex, not Philip, or Alexander, was obsessed with becoming a god while still alive. Talking about his travel to Egypt to visit the oracle of Amon Zeus in the Ziwa oasis. He believed that Zeus himself was his father. He sought out Indian holy men and philosophers to inquire how one could become a god. In deploying his forces in this manner, Epaminondas produced the first major tactical innovation in phalanx infantry that Greece had witnessed in 300 years. Traditionally, a strong right wing engaged a weakened left. Once engaged, the armies had a tendency to rotate counterclockwise until one combatant was able to maneuver outside the opponent's flank, turn inward and envelop it. This strategy made the left wings somewhat tentative about engaging the opponents, since they always did so at a numerical disadvantage. The left wings were far more accustomed to yielding to pressure rather than gaining ground through advance. Aware of this tactical dynamic, Epaminondas arranged his forces to bring the greatest force of concentration quickly against the enemy's line's strongest point and shatter it in a single blow. He discovered what the Germans later called the Schwerpunkt. Okay, it's some weird German word that's just two words put together, I imagine. Schwerpunkt, the point of greatest concentration of forces. Epaminondas reasoned that if he could engage the enemy's right wing with his stronger left wing, his own weakened centre and right could hold back at the oblique, and refuse battle for as long as possible. Although outnumbered in total forces, Epaminondas' deep phalanx outnumbered the Spartan across him 4-1 at the Schwerpunkt. Here the principle of economy of force was applied brilliantly. If the shock of battle quickly broke the Spartan right, the battle would be over before most of the Theban forces to their centre and right had ever engaged. As the battle developed, the Spartans attempted a counter-maneuver and shuffled their units farther to the right to overlap the flank. Epaminondas countered by committing the Sacred Band, already positioned to his far left with some cavalry, and blocked the Spartans' redeployment. This move contained the battle to the area where Epaminondas had deployed his greatest concentration of force. So you can see that that's on war. Ah, okay, cool. The battle at Leuctra taught Philip a principle of war that he applied again and again. To bring about quick and economical military decision, concentrate one's forces and strike at the enemy's strongest, not weakest point. Epaminondas' tactics were revolutionary. His use of cavalry in concert with infantry, coordinated in tempo and location with the infantry, was the first Western example of an army utilizing combined arms in battle. And I think by this they mean that it wasn't the first time that infantry and cavalry fought on the same battlefield, even as a side of the same army, simply that they were used in a tactical sense to support one another's aims. Another major innovation Epaminondas contributed to Greek warfare was a strategic forced march. You gotta go to a commuting to work. Y'all have a nice evening. Enjoy Kwai for how little long left you have in the place. I assume you have 2 weeks left or something. But have a nice commute. Thank you for joining us as always. For centuries, Greek armies terminated campaigns in a single set-piece battle. Unlike the Napoleonic and Philippic doctrine of the defensive battle used to achieve strategic ends, Greek armies rarely fought battles within a strategic context. Epaminondas was the first Western commander to use military means to achieve strategic ends by forcing a tactical decision in the field. After the Battle of Leuctra, Epaminondas marched his army through the Peloponnese into Laconia and liberated Messenia, depriving Sparta of half its economic and manpower strength. This expedition was the first application in the West of the doctrine of strategic pursuit. Without the strategic forced march, Philip's armies would never have been able to force a strategic decision to unify Greece, and Alexander's war against the Persians would have been unimaginable. The idea of driving an army deeply into enemy territory and daring him to give battle, or watch one objective after another fall without serious military opposition, was a revolutionary concept. All that was required for a strategic revolution in Greek warfare was for someone to enhance the military capabilities of a Greek army and apply Epaminondas's lessons on a greater scale. That person was Philip. And we'll see later how Philip introduces innovations in his army that massively increase their, what would you call it? Their kind of logistical range by making them carry their own food and not as being as reliant upon, raiding and pillage to feed the army, at least for a certain distance. But it was a significant distance that allowed Philip to project his power and perform those types of forced marches much, much more effectively. But not all of the instruction Philip acquired in Thebes involved military lessons. He was also a profound observer of political events, and in Thebes Philip got the first look at the dynamics of the civic culture of the Greek city-state. And here, Philip saw weakness. To Philip's eye, the democracies of Greece were dying of self-inflicted wounds. Their civic cultures were torn apart by constant factional and party intrigues. The annual assemblies often were unable to make timely decisions to prevent being overtaken by events. Fear of tyranny led the city-states to restrict their executive officials to a crippling degree, often granting necessary powers only when an enemy was at the gates. Annual elections made long-term planning in military affairs impossible. Greek citizen levies, even when supplemented by mercenaries, were often unreliable. The Athenian practice of selecting... Welcome in to Silent Storm 2. Thank you for joining us. We're currently reading about Philip of Macedon. Hello, and thank you for the first time chat as well. Very much appreciated. I like your model. Thank you so much. It's a little bit dulled at the moment because just to kind of match with the overall color of the surrounding area, it's usually a tiny bit brighter. But I'm glad you enjoy it. Like it. My good friend Dance Again Art was the one who made it. Yeah, Dance Again Art. That's his name on Twitter. He did a fantastic job. He actually did it for free, basically. As a gift. He's a very, very cool guy. But I'd like to welcome you and to welcome the other few new people we have in here as well. I suppose I should introduce myself properly, because my name can be a little confusing to say. My name is Ruadh. I'm a half human, half Tuatha, that being half god people of Ireland, who inhabited Ireland before the Milesians, or those people who would later become the Gaels or the Irish, took over. Or people currently live on the Sheed Mounds, or large mounds of earth. Often, if you guys know some of those monolithic tombs that you see dotted around Ireland and England and other areas in Europe often, that's where it's said we live, and also in the mountains. But it's a pleasure to make all of your acquaintances. Where were we? Oh yeah, here we are. The Athenian practice of selecting 10 generals every year to conduct military operations struck Philip as particularly detrimental. Philip is said to have marvelled at how the Athenians could find 10 competent generals each year when, quote, I have found only one in my life, Parmenio. Philip concluded that speed was a key component to military success. If he moved rapidly against his objective, he could achieve victory or surrender before the city-state's decision-makers could react. Let me take a sip. The domestic politics of the Greek states were particularly vulnerable to exploitation from outside. The city-states were fiercely nationalistic and jealous guardians of their own liberties, while at the same time they were trying to destroy the liberties of others, both outside and within their polities. Much of Greece's history in the 5th and 4th centuries BC was a history of warfare and attempts to establish hegemonies over one another, often by attempting to influence a rival state's domestic politics. Greek domestic politics were breeding grounds of subversion, factionalism, treason, expropriations of property, exiles and public executions carried out by one faction against another for political advantage, and typically these would be, especially in the history of the Peloponnesian War, you see that it's often the oligarchy, the kind of aristocrats, and then on the Spartan side, and then the kind of more democratic versions of Athens, and kind of following their constitution. At times, the entire male population of the losing faction was put to the sword, their women and children sold into slavery and their property confiscated. Philip became convinced that the cumulative effects of these defects were potentially fatal, and he came to believe that the political institutions of Macedonia, which the Greeks held in contempt, concentrated executive power and decision-making in a way that was far better suited for war and international politics than those of the Greek states. Demosthenes seemed to have grasped the essence of Philip's advantage in this regard when he said, quote, "In the first place he was the despotic commander of his adherents, and in war that is the most important of all advantages. Secondly, they have their weapons constantly in their hands. Then he was well provided with money. He did whatever he chose without giving notice by publishing decrees or deliberating in public, without fear of prosecution by informers and indictments for illegal measures. He was responsible to nobody. He was the absolute autocrat, commander and master of everybody and everything. And I, his chosen adversary, in a fair inquiry, of what was I a master? Of nothing at all." To Philip's eye, the democracies of Greece were rotten from the inside out. Philip himself. Ancient writers tell us almost nothing about Philip's physical appearance, except that he wore a beard. We would have remained uninformed had Professor Andronikos not discovered Philip's tomb in 1977 at Vergina. I don't know if that was the correct pronunciation. It's Veorgina. I might Vergina. I'm a serious streamer, guys, I swear. Thank you for the hydrate redeem again. Distracted atomic. Very, it is quite nice. I'll actually have to fill up my bottle of water soon. I have a big, it's like a liter bottle, like a liter metal bottle. I could do damage with this thing. Philip's almost complete skeleton was discovered in a gold box where it had been placed after his cremation. From this skeleton it was determined that Philip was between 1.67 and 1.72 meters tall, approximately 5 feet 8 inches, or somewhat taller than the average height for males of his day. And remember, he was somewhat lame in one leg. He possessed all 32 of his teeth, a remarkable condition for a man of his age, and an indication of robust health. Philip's health may have been due to genetics. His father had lived beyond the age of 80. Philip suffered from a marked degree of congenital hypoplasia, underdevelopment of the left side of his head, which threw his jaw off midline. This deformity was more noticeable when Philip was young and would have been common knowledge in Macedonian court circles. It would have become less noticeable once Philip grew his heavy beard. Macedonians traditionally wore full beards, and soldiers were trained to seize an adversary's beard when engaged in hand-to-hand fighting. Alexander's of going about clean-shaven may have been intended as a subtle rebuke to Philip, since Alexander's features were perfectly formed. As Alexander's fame spread after his death, beards fell out of style among military men throughout the Mediterranean. Hannibal, for instance, went about beardless, as did Scipio Africanus. who is said to have required his Roman soldiers to shave daily. I believe I saw quite a long note at one point here. Oh yes, the debate as to whether the tomb is Philip's continues, with most historians concluding that it is indeed Philip in the burial chamber. Was there anything else? Nope. Oh, Alexander may have suffered from a congenital deformity known as torticollis, a condition in which the head and neck are noticeably inclined to one side of the body's midline. Well, who cares about that? That's like a little thing. Philip's life as a warrior, which found him almost continually in the field on one campaign or another, suggests that he was physically strong. We hear of only one illness during the winter campaign in Thrace. He probably had a weathered, dark-skinned complexion and dark eyes, and eyes typical of many Macedonians to this day. There is a potential there that maybe not as dark, because I believe Macedonia was taken over by the Ottomans, that whole region, and I imagine there would be some further, what would you call it? Kind of population movement into newly conquered land by the Ottoman Turks and other groups there. But I imagine that a man out in the field and fighting in wars and often travelling, he would definitely have been heavily tanned, but I don't know if necessarily by dark-skinned complexion he is suggesting like a heavy, almost Arab look. Cause that's isn't that kind of what Macedonians are like? I don't know. I feel like they did have some. I imagine they probably look like general Greeks, actually. Like just like general Greeks, yeah. Well, like well, by Greeks, what I mean is that kind of region overall. Obviously, they're Greeks and Macedonians are different. To a degree, I think some Macedonians like are heavily like we are Greek too. Obviously, because Alexander and stuff. Thank you for the stretch, Redeem. Let me stretch. I need to stretch a lot more after I had a slight gym injury. I noticed it a lot in my shoulders and scapula. I need to work on keeping very good posture a lot more. I used to have, well, by used to, what I mean is like a couple of months ago, or about a month ago, but I kind of hurt my trapezius, and I think it's made me, especially when it was sore, it kind of made me pull my shoulders up a bit more, so I'm not as perfect posture as I was. Princess perfect posture. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Philip's life as a warrior, which found him almost continually in the field on one campaign or another. Oh, yes, here we are. The small ivory carving of Philip found in the tomb showed a well-formed mouth with full lips and a very pronounced bridge to the nose, a prominent characteristic of other members of the Aegean royal house. His right eye was sightless, its flesh sunken in and scarred. Philip's skull was remarkably intact and sent to the University of Manchester, England, where a team of forensic archaeologists used modern scientific techniques to reconstruct a likeness of Philip. The reconstruction team offered the following description of Philip. The figure of a battle-hardened warrior, a man with a square face, an obstinate chin and a prominent Adam's apple, with heavy features, a distinctive nose with a remarkable bridge, prominent eyebrows with an idiosyncratic lift on the other end, a lined and slightly humorous face and furrowed brow framed by a short, thick beard and moustache and thick, straight hair. The face lacks symmetry, particularly in the cheeks, and the right eyebrow is scarred, the right eye sightless. How would they know some of those things from his skull? A bust of Philip's likeness, as reconstructed by forensic archaeologists, appears in Figure 1. Oh, do you want to see something, guys? Because I'm a very high quality streamer. Watch this. Bang. Wait, hang on. It's way too large. Wait a minute. Let me shrink it down. It's quite the sight. Now, obviously, this is a wax reconstruction, so you know, you can't be certain with these types of things, but I think it's a there's a colored version actually on the front of the book. The book, like thing that is a massive forehead. It is quite large. I mean, if that guy was my commander, I'd be pretty. I feel like he'd know what to do. He looks like a pretty tough guy. But I think these types of wax sculptures often, you know, they can exaggerate some feature by accident or something. You can never really be certain. But thank you for the first time chat as well, Distracted Atomic. Lovely to have you. But yeah, he's a scary looking dude. I'll pull back up the map of it so we can kind of, if there's any mention of regions, we can kind of keep an idea of where things might be. Why is my... That's actually confusing me. My, I should have a chat in the corner. Let me check something real quick. I don't think scary, I think goofy. I don't know, I feel like if that guy was running at me with his scared eye, with like a big axe or something, or a spear, I'd be a little concerned. Or better yet, he'd probably not have a spear himself, he'd have, you know, 20,000 battle-hardened men. I should have my overlay, I'm not too sure why it's not showing up. That's slightly annoying. His forehead is his weapon. Yeah, he runs at you and just throws his head forward. Oh, I forgot to turn off the ads. Apologies. I forgot to turn off the ads. Damn it, I'm annoyed now. That will stop me from finishing the pages, the chapter as well. Annoying, annoying, annoying. Some of you might not have gotten the ads yet, but I'm just gonna have to wait a little bit, I suppose. Let me I suppose what I'll do is I'll wait a tiny bit. We'll wait just a little bit. I always forget one thing. Either I forget to post something I need to post, like on Twitter or something, or I like forget to just move something on stream. I'm very annoyed about my chat not showing up. I'll have to test that out later and see why exactly that's the case. Because it shouldn't be. It should be showing perfectly. I'm sure it's fine though. I'll take the map off. Maybe my widget or something for the chat is broken. Anyway, I think it's been the 3 minutes. So we'll continue the reading. I do apologize for anyone who got scared by the ads. I know when you're listening to soft reading and suddenly you have loud ads, it can be quite annoying. But we will begin again. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, here we are. It is interesting to compare Philip's likeness with the physical description of Alexander that has come down to us. One of the accusations made by Alexander's and Olympias's enemies was that Philip was not Alexander's father. Indeed, they maintained that Alexander was a result of Olympias's adultery. Alexander himself later denied that Philip was his father. After visiting the sacred Zeus Ammon shrine at Siwa in Egypt, Alexander came away believing his real father was Zeus himself. Thereafter, he often referred to himself as the, quote, son of Zeus. Peter Green offers the following description of Alexander drawn from the surviving ancient accounts. By the time he was 16 and made regent of Macedonia, Alexander had grown into a boy of rather below average height, but very muscular and compact of body. He was already a remarkably fast runner. His hair, blonde and tousled, is traditionally said to have resembled a lion's mane, and he had that high complexion which fair-skinned people so often display. His eyes were odd, one being grey-blue and the other dark brown. His teeth were sharply pointed, like little pegs, says the Alexander Romance. He had a somewhat high-pitched voice, which tended to harshness when he was excited. His gait was fast and nervous, a habit that he picked up from old Leonidas, one of Alexander's tutors. And he carried his head to the left because of some physical defect, or through more affection, cannot be determined. Whether because of some physical defection or through mere affection cannot be determined. There was something almost girlish about his earlier portraits, a hint of leashed hysteria. I was about to say, he sounds quite cute. He'd make a good VTuber, Alexander. Philip and Olympias seemed to have worried that their son's almost girlish appearance and apparent lack of heterosexual interest might turn him into what Theophrastus called a Guinness, or girlish introvert. Olympias went so far as to procure a Thessalian courtesan named Calixena to help develop his manly nature. Apparently this effort was not successful. Oh my god, he would be an amazing VTuber. He'd already have a certain niche to fill in being a femboy, and like now he has everything that he needs. They say history isn't relatable. I hope that's not because your father attempted to get a Thessalian courtesan for you, Lancelot. Plutarch tells us that Alexander, quote, did not know any woman before he married, other than Barsine, the daughter of Artabazus, a Persian satrap, a provincial governor, and resident at Philip's court, whom Alexander had met when still a young man. Captured by Parmeno at the Battle of Issus, 333 BC, and sent to Alexander, she became his mistress and even bore him a son, Heracles. It is not difficult to see how the sheer contrast in the physical descriptions of Alex and Philip, to say nothing of their different behaviour, might have led to questions about Alexander's paternity, which Philip's enemies manipulated to diminish his and Alexander's reputations. That Philip was disposed by his nature to the practice of war and politics is obvious enough. To those who knew him best, little Philip would have surprised them. Even the idea of a pan-Hellenic alliance of Greek states, united in a war against Persia, was familiar, since in 380 BC, Isocrates proposed it in his long essay, Panegyricus. Later, when he was in his 90s and it was clear that Philip would unite Greece for the first time in history, Isocrates rewrote the piece under the title of Philippus and commended it to Philip, who saw it in the justification for his war against the Persians. But even simpler motives were behind Philip's wars to unite Greece after he had made Macedonia itself secure. Warrior societies fight wars because they are warrior societies, and vice versa. Macedonian society strongly resembled the social order of Homeric Greece. Philip set about conquering Greece for the same reason that the warriors of the Iliad set out to conquer Troy. Waging war is what warriors do. Without wars to fight, these men had no reason to rise from their bed or any other way to achieve a reputation, wealth, and women. One might well ask, what would the warriors of the Iliad have done if it had not been for Troy? It is hard to imagine either Achilles or Philip turning to the plough. Beyond the lore and glory, Philip was also motivated by revenge. He knew well enough the contempt of Greeks held for him and his people. Philip would avenge every slight and every injustice. Macedonia had suffered at the hands of the Greeks. There too was a sense that Philip's envy of Athenian culture and past greatness drew him to reduce its power and reputation. As with the poor fellow who finally made it rich, the achievement only has meaning when he is finally accepted by his betters into their club. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. Philip never hated Athens so much as he envied it, and this Macedonian rustic would force Athenians and Greeks to accept him and his people as equals. That's the end of the first chapter. I know we've done 3 streams and only 1 chapter in. These pages are somewhat long. But the next we're going to get into is the strategic environment, which I think will be a very interesting discussion. Because I assume it will be quite high level. We'll be looking at the land and its people, external threats, the Macedonian state, and Philip's strategy. It's about another 30 pages or so, so hopefully we can get maybe 2 streams and get through it. And then we'll get into the Macedonian war machine and the various things there, but it is almost 12 o'clock, and I think I will, I may call it there. And, for the reading for today. Oh. I think on week streams I might try and start a little bit earlier, if I can actually, maybe around 9:30 maybe would be a good time, and then I can get about 2 hours in, 2, maybe even 2.5, depending, but for now I will look for someone to send you guys to. Let's see who's around. I don't know if there's many people. No, there doesn't seem to be. I think I'll probably just I've got to head to school in the morning. That's fine. I think I'm actually gonna, but the bit I caught was very enjoyable. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for showing up last lot. I think I'm just gonna end the stream as well. So thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy the reading. And if you're a VOD watcher, I hope you enjoyed too. Go read Mila Margaret,